Sometimes the truth hurts. That was an old saying back in the day. Really, did we know what they meant? Some, this will be graphic, some may even be stricken by flashbacks, like the military be having. Do believe those types of folks do endure stress to be oppressed into their genes of their DNA to be yielded.
His lifeless body lay on the ground, his sacrifice fueling the flames of revolution. But amidst the outrage and grief, a sinister plot unfolded. A doctor driven by morbid curiosity and greed secretly collected Addict's body, taking a portion of his skin without consent or respect. The doctor, John Warren, saw an opportunity to profit. His lifeless body lay on the ground, his sacrifice fueling the flames of revolution. But amidst the outrage and grief, a sinister plot unfolded. A doctor driven by morbid curiosity and greed secretly collected Addict's body, taking a portion of his skin without consent or respect. The doctor, John Warren, saw an opportunity to profit from the martyr's fame. He tanned the skin and sold it to a bookbinder, who crafted a small notebook from the gruesome material. Warren's plan was to peddle the notebook as a macabre souvenir, capitalizing on Addict's legendary status. The notebook's inscription, made of tanned skin of the Negro whose execution caused the War of Independence, was a cynical marketing ploy, meant to entice buyers with its association with the American Revolution. Warren cared little for the symbolic significance. His goal was to line his pockets with gold. Addict's skin, once a part of a vibrant living man, was now a commodity, reduced to a mere curiosity for the morbidly fascinated. The notebook became a dark symbol of exploitation, a stark contrast to the heroism and sacrifice that Addicts embodied. Today, the notebook resides in the Wellcome Collection in London, a haunting reminder of the callous disregard for human life and dignity that can accompany even the most noble causes. In today's video segment, sorrowful as it is, we're going to delve into the most dark and disturbing chapter of human history, a story of exploitation, cruelty, and commodification of the bodies of innocent blacks who were stolen from their continent and shipped aboard the Atlantic to a foreign land, terribly tortured, enslaved, and as though not enough, whose bodies were, to the very extreme, utmost degradation, used for the leathers of shoes, bags, wallets, furnitures, wristwatches, and so on and so forth. We will explore the history of black leather, the people who were affected by it, and the lasting impact it has had on the lives of black people today. Before we go on, do not forget to support our work by hitting the thumb button. Share feelings in the comment section below, and share video with friends and families to keep spreading our eye-opening black narrative. Also, kindly subscribe to stay tuned in if you are yet to. Let us dive in. Imagine to ever learn that the skin of certain humans were at a time harvested like animal hide, processed into leather, and turned into everyday goods. This is the dark reality of the transatlantic slave trade, where enslaved Africans were subjected to unimaginable cruelty and exploitation. In the early 19th century, a disturbing practice emerged in the transatlantic slave trade, where the skins of enslaved Africans were harvested and treated like animal hide to create leather goods. The use of black people.
What's the best oil?
Canola oil. If you can find organic canola oil, then it's actually a very good oil. The problem with canola oil is most canola oil in the United States is genetically modified and is sprayed with glyphosate. Number 2, coconut oil. Coconut oil has a very high smoke point. So yes, you can absolutely use it. Unfortunately, coconut oil has only about 1/10 of the polyphenols of olive oil. So believe it or not, the best oil for cooking is olive oil. Olive oil is going to give you the polyphenols. Polyphenols are plant compounds that are incredibly healthy for your body. If you consume a diet high in polyphenols, it can actually help you burn unwanted fat too. But not all olive oils are created equal. Certain olive oils contain massive doses of these fat-fighting polyphenols. which is why I personally take a shot of high-quality olive oil every single day. Have some olive oil before your bed. Your sleeping partner will love you for it.
Somebody told me olive oil could be used as shaving cream.
Shaving cream? Yep. Swap out that spray can and slather on some olive oil instead. It can actually be really useful for moisturizing your skin and helping it look bright and fresh.
Someone commented, does olive oil actually help prevent snoring?
Snoring? Fact. It turns out that olive oil lubricates your respiratory passages so that vibration doesn't happen.
Can it help with my teeth?
Whiter looking teeth? Yes. Extra virgin olive oil can help contribute to the look of whiter teeth because it can bind to plaque and tartar and then help remove debris. But before you pull that bottle from the kitchen, there are 3 important things about store-bought olive oil that you should know. Based on my research, I think there's one big difference between olive oils that really matters for your health. And it isn't how much you paid for it. Because while any olive oil can provide you with some health benefits, I like to call the perfect olive oil the ultimate health tool. This olive oil can support your heart health, soften and hydrate your skin, support your immune system, and even help you lose unwanted weight. One healthy diet in particular that's supposed to be a real miracle for your health: the Mediterranean diet. It's one of the most recommended diets out there to help you extend your life, supercharge your energy, ease your joints, and more. Sounds pretty great, right? The thing is, there's something they're not telling you about the Mediterranean diet. It's full of harmful toxins. Take a minute to let that sink in. One of the healthiest diets in the world is loaded with toxins. They're called lectins, and they're known to infiltrate your gut lining, letting bacteria, undigested food, and other waste seep out into your bloodstream. They can cause all sorts of digestive troubles, joint issues, unwanted weight gain. Lectins are prevalent in plenty of foods on the Mediterranean diet. Foods you may even be eating every day, like whole grains, pasta, tomato, breads, and legumes. So how could it be that a diet loaded in toxic lectins can still help people lose weight, live longer, and feel better? The answer is, it's got nothing to do with the actual foods they're eating. It's what their food is covered in. I'm talking about extra virgin olive oil. The trick is, you've got to find the right one to get the most benefits. Now, a really good olive oil is full of one specific thing that can give you more energy, stronger muscles, and help support a healthy heart. And it only takes a little bit to give you maximum effects. Of course, people in the Mediterranean drench everything they eat in olive oil. And this is exactly why their diet is so effective, despite all the lectins. Olive oil is the main source of fat in the Mediterranean diet, and it contains a super polyphenol called hydroxytyrosol, or as I like to call it, the fat fighter, because scientists believe it could be a key ingredient to a healthy lifestyle, an energetic and youthful body, and of course, a healthy weight. Well, through my research, I've discovered that there's one type of olive that ensures you get the maximum dose of the fat fighter. And I'm going to tell you where to find it. I'll also share exactly what happens when you add this to your meals, no matter what your current diet looks like. You see, research shows this fatty super polyphenol can help keep you powered up and energized, support a healthy heart and blood vessels, support blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol already within a normal range, help soothe worn down joints and overworked muscles, keep your skin feeling soft and hydrated. Pretty incredible, right? Well, the benefits don't stop there. The fat fighter is one of the only polyphenols that can cross the blood-brain barrier, which means it gets absorbed quickly and works fast to help your body protect itself against free radicals that cause aging and illness, support a sharp, focused brain right now, help your brain continue working at peak performance for years to come. And it also distributes the benefits throughout your entire body, from your brain to your muscles, liver, heart, kidneys, and lungs. And because this nutrient is delivered in a fat, it means it also helps fill you up faster. Plus, studies show eating diets that include fat can actually help you lose more weight and keep it off after you do. Plus, the fat fighter is exceptionally powerful because it can actually help your body reduce its fat storage, meaning even if your body wanted to, it couldn't hang on to fat. If that sounds like a dream, keep listening, because the fat fighter is a true power hitter when it comes to all aspects of your health. And as a cardiothoracic surgeon, I believe that organic extra virgin olive oil may be the healthiest food on the planet. In fact, in my medical practices, I always advise my patients to get at least a liter of olive oil a week as salad dressing, on fish, heck, even drinking it straight. Now, I know how hard it is to get that much olive oil into your system. But in order to slim down, support your heart health, supercharge your energy, soothe your joints, and make your skin glow, a liter of olive oil a week is more than worth it. But I've got to be honest, even I struggle to get enough every week.
The use of black people's skin for leather, books, furniture, and other materialistic things has been in constant existence since the early years of the 1800s. It was a disturbing and well-documented historical practice. During this time, enslaved Africans and African Americans were subjected to unimaginable cruelty, and their skin was harvested after death or killing to create leather goods. This practice was particularly prevalent in the southern United States, where slavery was most prominent. Between 1526 and 1867, over 12 million enslaved people were forcibly brought to the Americas, with several million others dying during the brutal journey. Little were we told that those blacks who had died in the Middle Passage, whose bodies weren't discarded into the Atlantic, were preserved to further accomplish the inhumanity and barbarism towards the black race. They had been turned into black leather, a term used to describe the skin of enslaved people, and treated to create shoes, belts, saddles, and even book bindings. This shocking practice was not only a manifestation of the dehumanizing nature of slavery, but also a lucrative industry that profited from the suffering of others. The process of making human leather was gruesome, with enslavers harvesting skin and treating it with chemicals and processes similar to those used for animal leather. This practice, known as the black leather, started in the Americas, particularly in the southern United States, where slavery was rampant. The use of human tanning agents like vegetable or mineral tannins. Once tanned, the skin would be softened and conditioned with oils or waxes to make it supple and workable. The company would then cut and craft human leather into various products, such as book bindings, wallets, or belts. These products would be finished with additional treatments like dyeing, glossing, or applying protective coatings. Ever heard of the word anthropobiology? This is the word for the act of binding books with human skins. On hearing this, I bet the questions going on in the minds of some of you watching out there are, is there any such thing? Why would someone make these? What's in between the book covers used? Whose skin is it? What do they smell like? However, here are a few examples of books, among several others, who were binded with the skin of enslaved black individuals. Number 1, a copy of the book, Narrative of a 5 Years Expedition Against the Revolted Negroes of Suriname, authored by John Gabriel Stedman, 1796, was binded by the skin of an enslaved African man named Hottentot. Number 2, a book titled The Poems of Thomas Gray, 1798, was bound in the skin of an enslaved person believed to be from the Caribbean. Number 3, the skin of an enslaved woman was used to bind a copy of The History of Jamaica, 1774, by Edward Long. Number 4, a book titled A Treatise on the Diseases and Management of Negroes, 1795, was bound in the skin of an enslaved person, highlighting the cruel irony of using enslaved people's skin to discuss their medical treatment. Although most of the binding companies claim that they actually used the skin of these individuals in remembrance of the sufferings and sacrifices.
You won't believe how old she is.
Excuse me? I ask people who are really fit, what do they do for their workouts? Do you mind if I ask you what you do?
Actually, not a lot.
Wow, you look great. Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. I'm 64.
No way. So what's your secret then? What do you do?
This is going to sound weird, but it's something I learned from Chuck Norris that I do every day.
Whoa, Chuck Norris? So what did you learn?
A friend showed me this video that Chuck made. It's a super simple thing he does every morning.
Uh-huh.
It takes like 30 seconds.
Really?
I started doing it. Game changer.
I gotta know what this is. Do you mind sharing it with us?
He made a video about it. Let me show you.
My husband, Chuck, gave up everything to save my life about a decade ago. I was poisoned during an MRI scan. I had nerve pain and kidney problems, and I laid in a bed on an IV for 5 months, and my husband never left my side. He slept next to me on the couch every night, and he put everything else in his life on hold. Now, thank God, I'm healthier than I've ever been. And once again, I owe it all to my husband. He figured out that the key to looking and feeling great as you age isn't going to the gym every day or cutting out the foods that you love. Isn't that right, honey?
That's right.
He's stronger, can work out longer, keeps up on his ranch chores, and has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids.
I've made just one change. I still feel like I'm in my 50s.
I've started doing this too, and I've never felt better. I feel 10 years younger, and my body looks leaner, and I have energy all day. Chuck made a video that explains everything. Watch it. It'll change the way
remembrance of the sufferings and sacrifices these individuals made. The majority of them had used it for their own private reasons, earning cash for themselves. This practice was mostly common amongst doctors, since they usually had the fastest way to get cadavers. In the 18th and 19th centuries, some doctors and medical professionals were involved in the use of human skin, particularly blacks, for leather products, including bookbinding, through various means. They supplied skin from deceased black patients, often without seeking the consent of the person's families. These whites did not only use the bodies of their enslaved blacks for leather, but also the skins of black executed prisoners were not left out. They would bound their own books and manuscripts in tanned human skin, seeing it as a rare and exotic material. These evil white entrepreneurs did even advertise services, offering to bind books in Negro skins, and were never out of customers flocking in their numbers. These medical personnel saw the skin of blacks as a commodity, rather than treating it with dignity and respect. They felt that blacks were in no way different from animals, so they ought to be treated as such. This practice was a reflection of the dehumanizing attitudes prevalent during the time, particularly towards marginalized groups. The involvement of medical professionals in this practice is a disturbing aspect of medical history. According to a report from the April Mercury, an incredible report was released in the month of March, the 17th, 1888. It recounts the author's interaction with a man who proudly wore some shoe crafted from the Negro skin. The writer lists his acquaintance with various people who had the Negro skin, cigarette cases, slippers, and matchbook covers, suggesting that he was either taking liberties or ran in some deeply troubling circles.
I remember that 2 or 3 years ago, I incidentally referred to a prominent physician of this city wearing shoes made from the skin of Negroes. He still adhered to that custom, insisting that the tanned hide of an African makes the most enduring and the most pliable leather known to man. He obtains the skins from the bodies of Negroes which have been dissected in one of our big medical colleges. According to him, the best leather is obtained from the thighs. The soles are formed by placing several layers of leather together. The skin is prepared by a tanner at Wommeldorf, 16 miles from Reading. The shoes are fashioned by a French shoemaker of this city, who knows nothing of the true character of the leather, but who often wonders at its exquisite smoothness and says that it excels the finest French calf skin. The doctor's shoes always exhibit a peculiarly rich illustriousness in their blackness. He assures me that they never hurt his feet. The new pair he was using when I last saw him emitted no creaking sound and appeared as comfortable as though they had been worn for a month. Their predecessors, he told me, had been in constant use for 8 months. He obtains the skins from the bodies of Negroes which have been dissected in one of our big medical colleges. The best leather is obtained from the thighs. The soles are formed by placing several layers of leather together. Do not for a moment think that this doctor presents an exceptional case of one who puts human skin to practical use. Medical students frequently display a great variety of articles in which the skin or bones of some dissected mortal has been gruesomely utilized, and in bursts of generosity, they sometimes present these to their friends, who prize them highly. One of the dudest dudes in town carries a match safe covered with a portion of the skin of a beautiful young woman who was found drowned in the Delaware River. It still retains its natural color. Another young man with whom I am acquainted carries a cigar case made of Negro skin, a ghastly skull and crossbones appearing on one side in relief.
Thus, said the writer in the report, but what does this say about our society when human skin is used as a commodity? Can this doctor truly call himself civilized when he wears the skin of another human being, whether it be black or brown or red? What is the true cost of fashion when it comes at the expense of human dignity? What kind of world do we live in where the skin of the deceased is used to make fashion accessories? But could doctors be the only ones involved in this? Definitely not. The American Bookbinders Company, based in New York, also used the skin of blacks, which they call the Negro skin, for leather book bindings. They would procure skin from various sources, clean and prepare it, and then tan it using traditional bookbinding techniques. The tanned skin would be softened and conditioned before being cut and crafted into high-end book bindings. On so many occasions, the skins of enslaved black individuals has been used for leather binding, Nanny's case being a perfect example of this. Nanny, an enslaved woman from the Afro-Caribbean, lived a life marked by hardship and resilience. She toiled on a Jamaican plantation subjected to the whims of her cruel owners. After her passing, her body was desecrated and her skin was removed and tanned. The plantation owner, a collector of rare books, sought to bind a volume in human skin. He chose Nanny's skin, seeing it as a macabre trophy. The bookbinder worked diligently, transforming her skin into a gruesome cover. Nanny's skin now encased the book, a constant reminder of the brutality she endured. Her story, however, didn't end there. The book passed hands, eventually finding its way to a library, where it remained as a haunting testament to the transatlantic slave trade's atrocities. Years later, a researcher stumbled upon the book, discovering Nanny's story. Her legacy, once reduced to a mere commodity, was finally acknowledged. Nanny's story served as a poignant reminder of the enslaved people's struggles and the inhumane practices of the past. Amongst others, here are a few enslavers who used the skin of their slaves for leather products. Number 1, Edward Long. Edward Long was a British colonial administrator and slave owner in Jamaica. He served as a judge and member of the Jamaican Assembly, but was also known for his cruel treatment of enslaved people. Edward Long, an 18th century British historian, is said to have used the skin of an enslaved person for leather products. This disturbing practice was a manifestation of the brutal and dehumanizing nature of slavery. Long, who served as a judge in Jamaica, wrote about the supposed inferiority of enslaved people in his book, The History of Jamaica. He claimed that they were naturally inferior to Europeans and justified their enslavement. The use of an enslaved person's skin for leather products was a twisted display of power and control. It symbolized the enslaver's ability to reduce a human being to mere material, stripping them of their dignity and humanity. This practice also highlights the commodification of enslaved people's bodies, which were treated as nothing more than raw materials for exploitation. The use of their skin for leather products was a gruesome extension of this commodification. Edward Long's actions demonstrate the depths of cruelty and dehumanization inherent in the transatlantic slave trade. His willingness to use an enslaved person's skin for personal gain reveals a chilling disregard for human life and dignity. It was a way to profit from the bodies of the enslaved individuals, even after death. Number 2, Thomas Thistlewood. Thomas Thistlewood, a British plantation owner in 18th century Jamaica, is known to have used the skin of enslaved people for leather products. This practice was a horrific manifestation of the brutal and dehumanizing nature of slavery. Thistlewood's diary reveals that he used the skin of enslaved people to make leather goods, such as shoes, belts, and even a pouch. He treated their skin as a commodity, devoid of any human significance or dignity. This practice was not only a display of Thistlewood's cruelty, but also a demonstration of his power and control over the enslaved people. By using their skin for his own purposes, he reinforced the notion that they were nothing more than property, devoid of human rights or dignity. Thistlewood's actions are a stark reminder of the atrocities committed during the transatlantic slave trade. His use of enslaved people's skin for leather products is a chilling example of the dehumanization and exploitation that defined this period in history. Number 3, William Byrd II. William Byrd II, a Virginia planter, and also a member of the Virginia House of Burgesses, who served as a colonial official. He is documented to have used the skin of enslaved people for leather products in the early 18th.
More distractions.
Amazon hates this, but there's nothing they can do to stop it. There's a new electric lighter out there, and it's got the firepower of a military-grade flame.
Don't forget this your brother, though you different skin color.
Products in the early 18th century. One such incident occurred in 1709 when Byrd killed one of his slaves, whom he referred to as Nico, during a confrontation. Byrd's diary entry on June 17, 1709, describes the event. I had a great dispute with Nico, who was insolent and obstinate. I struck him with my cane, and he died in a few hours. Byrd then proceeded to have Nico's skin tanned and made into leather goods, including a pair of gloves and a pouch. This disturbing event highlights the brutal treatment of enslaved people by Byrd and other colonial slave owners. Byrd's actions demonstrate a complete disregard for human life and dignity, as he saw enslaved people as nothing more than commodities to be exploited. Byrd's use of Nico's skin for leather products serves as a chilling reminder of the dehumanizing nature of slavery and the violence that accompanied it. Apart from using the skin of his slaves for leather products, such as shoes and belts, Byrd's diaries also reveals a whole lot about his cruel treatment of enslaved people, including physical abuse and sexual exploitation. George Washington. George Washington was an American planter and slave owner who later became the first president of the United States. George Washington's case is a disturbing example of the dehumanizing nature of slavery. In the 1750s, a British plantation owner in South Carolina commissioned a leather saddle to be made from the skin of an enslaved African person. The saddle was listed in Williamson's estate inventory, which included